love myself, forgive myself. My life feels good, and I can have what I want, and I want joy, and I want peace. Opportunities me, I create what I need. I'm open to suggestions, I accept success. I take responsibility. Abundance flows through me, and I prosper. Mighty companions, it's time for us to prosper. I love myself. Do you love yourself? Do you forgive yourself? My life feels good, and I can have what I want, and so can you. And I want joy, and you want peace. I love myself. Do you love yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you forgive yourself? My life feels good. Thank you for all those beautiful, wonderful hearts that you're sending across the screen. I feel the love, and I want joy. I feel the love. I want peace, and I feel the love. Yeah. Open to suggestions. Yeah. I accept success. I take responsibility. Abundance flows through me, and you prosper, and I prosper. Abundance, and you prosper, and we prosper, and I prosper. I love myself. Welcome to the way of mastery. Welcome to the way of mastery. And I can have what I want. So can you. And I want joy. Do you know that I want joy? And I want peace. And I want peace. And I can have what I want. Welcome to a way of mastery. Welcome to the 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 way of mastery. This is Earl Purdy, and welcome to Facebook Live, The Way of Mastery. I'm glad to have you here, mighty companions. I can feel you in my heart. I can feel you in my soul. Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We got the mighty companions. Whoa, it's good to have you here. It's good to be with you in the way of mastery. I see that we got a lot of mighty companions on the line. Ada, Mark, CJ, Kevin, Grace, Jerry, Scott, and many other people that have tuned in for the way of mastery. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you being here. And keep in mind that this is live. And what that means is you get a chance to comment. You get a chance to interact with each other as well as with me. I'm also able to watch the comments even while I'm sharing. I want to invite you to share the video right next to your ability to do comments. Then you got the video, and just tap share and it'll share the video. So let's get it out here. Another thing I want to do is give you the guidelines for the way of mastery. The guidelines are: you don't have to believe it, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to welcome it, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to welcome it. Some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe. Some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe. Some of the ideas are going to knock you out. Some of the ideas are going to want to put you to sleep. Some of the ideas you're going to find really startling. Some of the ideas you're going to find really enlightening. Some of the ideas you're going to love. Some of the ideas you may hate. So just recognize that nobody's asking you to analyze. Nobody's asking me to analyze. What we are being asked to do is use the ideas. And if we use the ideas themselves will show us that the ideas are true, which isn't the same as, like I said, analyzing it is not the same as using it. So just open yourself up. Now this is some hardcore, deep, metaphysical, spiritual truth. So I'm going to give you the warning to let you know that you're innocent ahead of time. The level that we're going to go to doing this is going to be a big temptation for you to go completely unconscious. That's your ego going unconscious. Let it go to sleep. You will still be listening to what's being said. You will still be listening to Holy Spirit. You will still be listening to Christ consciousness. You will still be listening to the truth. Your ego, it might pass out, and that's okay. Another thing I wanted to share right quick before we dive deep into this is that my purpose in doing this is to bring the way of mastery to life. I feel like one of the biggest errors that people make on the spiritual path is they don't give themselves an opportunity to truly hear the material before they start analyzing it, judging it, changing it, altering it, or even thinking about how they can apply it to whatever it is that they think they're going through. So I'm going to say this again. My purpose is to bring the material to life. So I do the unthinkable. I teach out of the book. And The Way of Mastery is one of the most powerful books that I've ever read in my life. And right now we're in what it's called the part called The Way of the Heart. The Way of the Heart. There's three parts. There's the way of the heart, the way of transformation, and the way of knowing. We're in the way of the heart. And we're going to be on page 51, in the way of the heart, page 51. We're starting with lesson 5, which is the keys to the kingdom. Lesson 5 is the keys to the kingdom. It's on page 51 in the keys to the kingdom, in the way of the heart. Okay. Alrighty. So here we go. Now remember, I'm going to be doing this from a perspective of allowing us to get a chance to hear it. So Jesus says, beloved friends, we come forth in this lesson. So what is the purpose of this lesson? The purpose of this lesson is to continue the pathway which builds the structure. So we want to build a structure now. What is the structure? It's a highway. So right now we are going to build a highway by which you may learn to follow and master the way of the heart. So what are we doing tonight? We're building a highway. And the purpose of this highway is to give us a way to learn and master the way of the heart. So what we're trying to do is master the way of the heart. Now, what does a way mean? So what does it mean when it says a way? A way in life means to have chosen from all possibilities that one possibility which will stand out as the way to which you are committed, the way to which you devote your attention. So how do you devote your attention? By granting your willingness that the way be followed. So let's hear that again. When you say you're going to follow a way in life, it means out of all the things that you've tried, out of all the books that you've read, out of everything that you've studied, that you have discovered the path that you can commit yourself to totally. I tell people in my classes all the time, if you're still jumping from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, then it probably means that you haven't found your path yet. Because when you find your path, you're going to do just what Jesus is saying right here. You're going to completely commit yourself to that path. How did he put it? You're going to devote the whole of your attention. And then people say, well, how can I devote my attention? How can I keep my attention on my path? And it says, by granting your willingness that the way be followed. In other words, you tell yourself, I am willing to follow in this way. I'm totally willing to follow in this way. And so just as when you take a journey on your earth, you have to make a commitment to take the journey, you avail yourselves of experiences that could not come to you in any other way. That means that there are going to be experiences that are going to come to you in a way that you never even imagined, because you finally committed yourself to a path. After checking out a lot of different things, you finally have committed yourself to a path. And that path is going to reveal things to you that's far beyond anything you could have imagined. Then Jesus gives an example. He says, when you go to a university to pursue a degree, although you begin with a certain idea of what the pathway may hold or bring you, isn't it true that the relationships that come along the way, the knowledge that reveals itself to you is even in the end, an end result of accomplishing the degree? When you get your degree, have you noticed that what you have experienced and what you've learned was much more than you could have ever imagined when you began your journey? So what we want to do is this. So what is it that Jesus wants us to do in the way of mastery? It says, understand well that the way of heart requires the willingness to commit. Okay, so let's just take a minute. And those of you who want to, I would like for you to tell yourself right now, I am willing to commit. I'm willing to commit to the way of the heart. I'm willing to commit to the heart way. I'm willing to commit. I'm willing to commit to the way of the heart. Tell yourself, I am willing to commit to the way of the heart. I'm willing to commit to the way of the heart. I am willing to commit to the way of the heart. Are you willing to commit to the way of the heart? Are you willing to commit to the way of the heart? Are you willing to follow your heart? Are you committed to following your heart? Is there a part of you that gets kind of frantic as soon as you say you're going to make a commitment to following your heart? Is there a part of you that becomes afraid when you say you're going to commit to following your heart? Is there a part of you that feels distracted right now? Is there a part of you that feels distracted right now? It feels kind of nervous and antsy. It's because there's nothing more frightening to the ego than you being completely committed to the way of the heart. So what is commitment? Because people talk a lot about commitment. So what is commitment? Well, commitment is nothing more than a deliberate decision that something will be so. I'm making a deliberate decision that I am going to live the way of the heart. So a commitment is a deliberate decision. So how do I show my commitment to you? I make a deliberate decision to join with you in a loving way. Now, that's a commitment. Have you noticed that people always bring up commitment in relationship? Well, okay, if you're going to be in commitment and you're going to be in a committed relationship, you have to make a deliberate decision that it will be so. So what is the decision that we're being asked to make tonight? We're being asked to make the decision that we're going to be deliberately committed to following the way of our heart. That tonight I am going to follow my heart. I'm going to really make a deliberate decision to follow my heart. So just as with all aspects of experience that you've ever known, when all of your being is involved, I said what? When all of your being is involved in the willingness to make a decision, when you're making a decision, and it includes all of your being, every ounce of your being, every part of you is part of that decision, there is literally, and I mean literally, nothing that can prevent you from accomplishing your goal, okay? So why is it that people then experience failure? Why is it that people experience what they call failure? There really is no such thing as failure because you learn something out of every experience. But when you think about something in your life that you think you've been a failure at, whatever that thing is, it looks to you like it's your pattern. It's like it's the thing you always seem to screw up and that you fail in. Okay, we were just told why. The reason why I go through what I think of as failure is because all of my being was not involved in my willingness to make a decision to have that experience. Some part of me was not committed to having that experience. So right now we're being told to make a commitment to the way of the heart. That we're going to make a commitment to the way of the heart. How do you make the commitment to the way of the heart? The way that you make the commitment to the way of the heart, the way you make the commitment to the way of the heart, the way you make the commitment to the way of the heart, the way you make the commitment to the way of the heart is to make a deliberate decision with your whole being that you are going to follow the way of the heart. So rest assured, whenever you believe you haven't succeeded, whenever you believe you haven't completed some decision fueled by some desire, it's always because you simply are not totally committed, which means either you're not totally, I put it this way, if you don't accomplish your goal, either you're not totally committed or you've changed your mind. And sometimes, do you know that you sometimes change your mind and didn't even know that you changed your mind? Do you know that sometimes you think you want something and you don't realize you really don't want it anymore? So sometimes the things that don't show up in your life are things that you've changed your mind about and you really don't want anymore, but you don't even realize that you don't want it anymore. And the way that you will realize that you don't want it anymore is that you will not accomplish that objective. So when you change your mind, do you know what's going to happen? When you change your mind, you're going to change what you experience in the world. Okay, so how can I make that practical? Because this class is just as much for me as it is for you. It means that if your experience of the world isn't changing, you haven't changed your mind. If your experience of your relationships haven't changed, then you haven't changed your mind about how to do relationships. So what does that mean? Well, it means that your pattern is reflecting back to you that you haven't changed your mind. What's the advantage of recognizing you haven't changed your mind? Well, you stop believing that something isn't happening and you are really different now. I don't know about you, my ego will tell me, oh, you're really different now. You really changed. You really handle things differently from the way that you handled them in the past. But then I find that I have the exact same friggin' experience that I've had over and over and over again. So my ego can't fool me the way that it used to fool me because my experience is my teacher now. And so I know if I've really accomplished something because I'll be having the experience of it. So we're being told that when you change your mind, you literally change what you experience in the world or the solar system in which yourself spins. So what is the way of the heart? I repeat things over and over again because that's the best way in the world to hear something. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you ever seen anybody hammer a nail in on the first blow? I bet you've never seen anybody hammer a nail in on the first blow. That's very unusual. So it's the repetition that allows us to get these ideas into our consciousness, or actually it's repeating it that allows us to remove the blocks to knowing that we already have these ideas in our consciousness. So the way of the heart does indeed require a decision of commitment. So tonight, let's make a commitment. Let's make a commitment to our happiness. Let's make a commitment to following our heart, which is the same thing. Are you with me? Okay, if you're willing to make a commitment to being happy by truly following the way of the heart, would you send a lot of heart emojis across the screen right now so that I know that you're with me, mighty companion, that you're willing to make this commitment to follow the way of the heart, that you're willing to make the commitment now to be deliberately focused in, wholly committed to following your heart. Okay, that's awesome. There's a bunch of them coming across the screen. I love you jokers. You know, you're with me. I tell you, that online gang is a trip. Y'all really, really, I can feel your presence. I can feel your energy. And like Miriam was saying, my ego tells me to call them peeps to prove I'm different. Nah, don't work. Happy learning. That's what we want. So you're saying I'm deciding and I'm committing to my happiness. Wow, there's a ton of y'all sending those across the screen. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Don't you just love technology when it's used for sanity instead of scaring the hell out of us? Makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. So, I say unto you that when you wholly commit to discovering the way of the heart, what's going to happen? You will discover a way of being in the world but not in the world. So, so what is the next step? The next step after saying that I'm willing to commit myself to the heart is that I'm going to also make a commitment to be in this world but not of this world. You will discover a way of walking through life in which you experience being uplifted by something that seems to be forever beyond you, yet it's inside you as the core and essence of your very being. So how can you tell when you're following the way of the heart? you're going to start feeling yourself being uplifted. You're going to feel like you're tapping into something that's bigger than you, something that's beyond you. Another way that you're probably following the way of the heart, a real obvious way of knowing when you're following the way of the heart, is your way will not be understandable by the world. So your way will not be, the world will not understand the way that you're living your life. The world will not understand the approach that you're taking in your life. The world will not understand the attitudes that you have toward relationship, the attitude you have toward money, the attitude you have toward waking up. When you are really on a true spiritual path, the thing that you're going to notice is that you're going to seem less understandable to the people around you. Whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, if you really tell them the way that you think, if you're really telling them what you're being told, it may be understandable to the world. As a matter of fact, if you really be honest, the way you start to be will also be just as ununderstandable to you. You'll just be saying, I know this is going on, but I don't really know what's going on right now. And people don't understand me. You know what? I don't really understand myself either. In other words, you are going to be living from mystery. See, one of the things that makes relationships dull and boring is that out of our fear, we try to limit people to our perceptions of how we think they should be, so that we can feel like we know them. And in feeling like we know them, we think that's going to make us feel really peaceful. But what the way of mastery is telling us is that you are a mystery. I need to look at you as if you are a mystery. I need to look at you as if I don't know everything about you, that I don't know everything that you're going to do, that I don't try to limit you to my scripts, so that you will continually enthrall me, excite me, turn me on. I don't ever know when the rabbit's going to pop out of the hat. I don't ever know the next thing you're going to do that just might thrill my soul, because you are a mystery to me. So if you're around somebody and you think you know everything about them, yeah, that might make your ego feel more secure, but you all are going to get bored as crap with each other, because you're not going to let each other get outside the box that keeps you from being afraid. Let the people in your life outside of the box that you think you need to put them in because you are so insecure, you think you need them to act the way you believe they should act. Now remember, whenever you make your happiness based on somebody else being different so that you can be happy, you are not following the way of the heart. You are not following the way of the mystery. So you're going to get the old results and the old patterns you've always experienced. I was thinking about something earlier, and what I realized was, in my mind, I was beginning to find myself trying to go into my ego. And I realized, wait a minute, if you're going into your ego, Earl, if you are somehow feeling some contraction or some fear, then that means you must be at some level telling yourself, if they were different, if this situation were different, if this circumstance were different, you would be happy. I caught myself because I paid attention to how I was feeling, and I was feeling contracted. So remember, if you're feeling contracted, if you're feeling afraid, if you're feeling upset, that is the best way in the world to know that you are not seeing something clearly, that you are not seeing something correctly. After 40 years of working on the truth, let me tell you something. If you can hear that one statement that I just got through saying, don't trust your anger, don't trust your fear, don't trust your guilt, don't trust your upset, because you're never upset for the reason you think. You're always upset because you're seeing something that's not there. You're always upset because you're seeing something that you think is going to happen in the future, or you're focusing on something that you think has happened in the past. You're always upset because you've learned to look at things the way that you're looking at it that makes you upset. So when you start to follow the way of the heart, I'll say it again, you're not going to be understandable to the world, and you're going to begin to become incomprehensible to yourself, and you're going to become a mystery. The way of mastery says you will be living from mystery. That means you will be moving from mystery to mystery to mystery. What's another way of putting that? Well, I'm moving from one situation that's a mystery to me, that I don't quite understand what's going on. Then I'm going to move to another situation that's a mystery to me, that I don't look like I know what's going on. Then I'm going to move to another mystery that I'm trying to figure out that I don't necessarily know what's going on, because now I'm moving into a place that's beyond my concepts a place that's beyond my beliefs, a place that's beyond the things that I've learned in the past. In other words, you're going to be uplifted. You're going to be carried by something that brings a satisfaction and a fulfillment to the depth of your soul, something far beyond anything you can now imagine. So how can I tell if I'm following the way of the heart? How can I tell if I'm really committed to the way of the heart? I say it again. You're going to feel like you're uplifted and that you're being carried by something that's bringing you a sense of satisfaction, something that's bringing you a sense of fulfillment that's beyond anything that you've ever felt in your soul. You will start to feel a sense of satisfaction that's more than anything that you can imagine. When you're really following the way of your heart, you will feel a sense of satisfaction, a sense of fulfillment that's beyond anything that you have ever imagined. So when I hear stuff like this, the first thing that comes to my mind is that, you know what, Purdy? You're not 100% committed yet. Don't beat yourself up, but you're not 100% committed to the way of the heart. And I go, well, what do you mean I'm not committed to the way of the heart? Well, the voice says, well, you're not feeling a satisfaction and fulfillment from the depth of your soul that's beyond anything that you can possibly imagine. So if you don't feel like you're being uplifted, if you don't feel like you're being carried along, if you don't feel like you're experiencing a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction that's more than anything you've ever experienced in your life, you're not seeing yourself as a mystery and you're not totally committed to the way of your heart yet. So when I first got into this stuff, one of the things that really bugged me the most was that I didn't like that it always exposed the fact that I didn't have the faith that I should have, or that I didn't have the trust that I should have, because I was feeling good about myself because I was convincing myself that I was more enlightened and that I was practicing the truth more than I really am and that I really was. So when I would read books like this, it would get me so out of denial that it would also kind of make my ego angry. So what do I mean by that? Okay, let's get out of, would you like to play Let's Get Out of Denial? Okay, here we go. Let's play Let's Get Out of Denial. If you are following the way of the heart, if you are following the path that you're totally committed to, if you really mean it when you say you want to know true love and true happiness, then you should tell me that right now you feel a sense of being uplifted and that you feel like you're being carried by something that brings a satisfaction and fulfillment from the depth of your soul that's far more than you could ever imagine. In other words, you should be more satisfied right now. You should be feeling more fulfilled right now than you've ever felt in your life, and it's more than anything you've ever felt in your life. If that's not the case, then you have not truly committed to the way of the heart yet. So in hearing this, I can get out of denial, and I can say to you, mighty companion, I will tell you right now, I need to commit myself even more to the way of the heart, because I am not presently experiencing a satisfaction and fulfillment that's from the depth of my soul that's beyond anything that I could possibly imagine. That ain't happening. Oh, I'm feeling good. Oh, yeah, it's some cool things happening in my life. Yeah, I am blessed. Yes, I'm surrounded by a lot of love. I'm surrounded by your love. But I'm not going to sit up here and tell you I'm having a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment right now that's bigger and more than I could ever imagine ever in my whole life. So I don't beat myself up about that. I just use that as an opportunity to get honest with myself. So, is it worth it? See, that's the thing that really I think slows people down. Ask yourself, is it worth it to commit? Is it worth it? Is it and you think about another person. Is it worth it for me to commit to this relationship? Is it worth it to commit to the way of the heart? What is the answer? Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it because it culminates with the recognition that you don't live life at all. I'll say that again. Listen carefully. You are not living life at all. You are not living life at all. You are not living life at all. So what's happening then? Life is living you. So on the way of the heart, you are not living life anymore. Life is living you. I had my inner self say to me very recently, it says, okay, you're coming into a brand new cycle in your life right now. In numerology, we call it the one cycle. And in coming into that cycle, it said, what I want you to do is Let go of your agenda, let go of your plan, let go of your script. And what I want you to do is I want you to show up for what life is going to present you with. From this point on, life is going to live you instead of you living life. And everything that you need to do and all the people you need to connect with and everything that needs to happen to you, it's going to show up in your life every day. So I want you to be 100% present with every moment that's happening, because now life is going to live you. So life is going to present you with the right people. It's going to present you with the right situations. Life is going to present you with the right circumstances. Life is going to present you with the substance you need. Life is going to present you with the love. Now life is going to live you. So your job is to be present. Your job is to be present for life. So one of its characteristics is the development of the witness. Okay, so on the way of the heart, you have to develop the way of the witness. So the way of the witness is a quality of consciousness, a way of being. Are you ready? Listen to me again now. Come on around. Come on. I got you. I see you. Hey, Glenn, thanks for the shout out. Good to see you, CJ. Yes, that's right. I want life to live me. So now listen to me. Listen up. So what do? Well, the first thing you have to do is develop a quality of consciousness called the witness consciousness, in which you seem to be witnessing everything that comes up in your life. You start to witness everything that flows through you. You start to witness everything that around you from a place of utter stillness. So I'm going to witness everything that's going on in me. I'm going to witness everything that's going on around me, but I'm going to do it from a place of peace. I'm going to do it from a place of stillness. Now, don't confuse being still with non-activity. Stillness doesn't mean non-activity. It does mean non-attachment to activity, whether that activity is arising or falling away as cancer in the body, for instance. In other words, if you are practicing the witness level of consciousness, and let's say you had cancer, you would be witnessing it from a place of non-attachment, arising from a falling away of the relationship, or the rising and the falling of a solar system. In other words, I'm observing my cancer, and I'm observing my cancer from a place of non-attachment. So I'm going to look at my cancer from the place of non-attachment. So that means that I am going to allow the relationship I have with it to fall away. See, by me not identifying with it, by me not seeing it as connected to what I really am and who I really am, then there's a falling away of the relationship. There's a detachment from it. And it is in that detachment from it that the healing will happen, if that healing is meant to happen. I don't know how to break it to you, but there may be situations that for the advancement and the development of your soul, the best thing that could happen to you would be that you would have cancer. Or the best thing that would happen to you is that you would have what you perceive as a lack of money. Or the best thing that could happen to you would be, in other words, all those things that you think are the tragedies that are happening to you because they don't fit in with what you think should be going on. So what would be the way of the heart? So let me get this straight. Okay, so the way of the heart would be me making a total commitment to see myself as a mystery and to see everybody else as a mystery. And to know that I'm not really doing it until I'm feeling a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction beyond anything I can imagine. So if I'm not experiencing that, it means I'm not truly committed to the way of the heart. So what I must do is develop a quality of consciousness called the witness state of consciousness. And the witness state of consciousness is you allowing yourself to pay attention and take a look at everything that comes up in you, everything that flows through you, everything that's coming up within your life right now, even the things you don't think you like. You are to see them from a place of non-attachment, even if it's some type of disease or some physical ailment or some physical situation in your life that you see as completely undesirable. So what are you going to discover? You're going to discover that there's a place inside of you that can look on everything with perfect acceptance, perfect equanimity, and perfect love. So if I can look at everything that is going on in my life, if I can look at everything that's going on in my life right now from a place of non-attachment and detachment, behind that is a place that will allow me to accept perfectly and love perfectly everything that's going on in my life right now. Because in the mastery of the way of the heart, how can you tell when you mastered? What is one of the other ways you can tell if you have mastered the way of the heart? Oh God, this is a big one. Okay, so if you have mastered the way of the heart, it says you will discover that, and this is a big one, you ready? Okay. You will discover that nothing is unacceptable to you. What? When you really accepted the way of the heart, there will be nothing that will be unacceptable to you. There will be nothing that you won't be able to accept. There won't be anything that you won't be able to accept when you are in perfect love and you have accepted the way of the heart. Because it's only when you accept something that you can transcend it. So I can't, until I accept that I have jealousy, until I accept that I'm feeling jealousy, I will not transcend jealousy. Until I accept that I have racist thoughts and racist feelings, which is exactly what's being shown to us in mass consciousness right now, especially in our country, America. We all looking at our racist thoughts. That's why there's so much going on around racism and stuff right now. Well, we're being told that you will never transcend it unless you admit that there's a part of your mind that is indeed racist, or there's a part of your mind that's indeed afraid, or that there's a part of your mind that is indeed insecure and jealous. So if you're in the way of the heart, there won't be anything that won't be acceptable to you. And so you accept it so that you can transcend it. You accept it so that you can. By accepting, I don't mean you're going to stay that way. I feel like a racist and I'm just going to accept it and I'm just going to be a racist. No, I'm going to accept that that's a quality of consciousness that I want to transform and transmute into love, and that once I accept it, I can go beyond it. So what's the other thing that you're going to escape? What's the other thing that you're going to discover? It says, you will discover a way of being in which nothing any longer compels you. Not even the desire to know God compels you any longer, because the need of it has been completed. So you're going to discover that you may do things every day, but you won't feel compelled to do it. There would be nothing that you would be so attached to that you give your peace away if it didn't happen. That once you are truly doing the way of the heart, there will not be anything that compels you any longer. And so then there arises a way of being in the world that is not there. So how is it you can tell when you're in the world, when you are in the world but not of the world? How will I know when I'm beginning to be in the world but not of the world? Because don't forget, what we're trying to do is to make sure that we don't deceive ourselves. All right. So what Jesus is saying right here is, I'm giving you ways to recognize if you're really following the way of the heart, or whether or not you think you're following the way of the heart, but you're not. So how can you tell when you're finally in the world but not of the world? You will feel no restlessness. What? You won't feel restless anymore. When you're really in the world but not of the world, you're in the world but you're not restless. You're in the world but you're not restless. You're in the world but you're not always tripping, always trying to figure out how something needs to be different for you to be happy. You're not judging. You're not restless. Okay, so if you're not restless, you're beginning to be in the world but not of the world. Here's another way. Would you like to know another way you can tell when you're in the world but not of the world? You don't feel any need to direct your journey anymore. You stop being the one that determines your own best interest. When you're really in the world but not of the world, do you know what you're saying to your Creator? Do you know what you're saying to God? You're saying, not my will but thine, O Lord. Oh, higher self. Oh, Holy Spirit. Oh, God. Oh, the love of the universe. I want you to direct my journey. I want you to be in charge. You go something like, this holy instant would I give to you. Be you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. This happy, healing, holy instant I give to you, God. This holy instant I give to you. Be you in charge. Be you in charge. Be you in charge. You be in charge. You be in charge. You be in charge, because I want to follow you, because I'm certain that your direction is going to give me peace. That's one of the ways you can tell that you're in the world but not of the world. If you're still busy trying to direct your journey, you haven't made the shift to the way of the heart yet. No questions will arise. You will be at peace. In peace, what's going to happen next? Okay, here's what's going to happen next. Have you ever wondered what's going to happen to you when you follow the path, when you follow the way of the heart, when you follow the way of mastery, or the Course in Miracles, or a Course of Love, or any of these spiritual paths that you committed yourself to? Well, if you were to really let yourself get out of your ego right now, you would hear that we're being told exactly the stages that you're going to go through in the future, quote unquote, on the path to awakening. We're being told right now. Let me review just for a second. You're going to get to the point that there's nothing that's unacceptable to you. And so you're going to accept everything that's happening, and then you're going to transcend it. The next stage that you're going to get to is you're going to be a person that nothing no longer really compels you. You don't feel compelled by anything, not even the desire to know God, because you don't feel like there's anything missing. What else is going to happen to us in the future? What's going to happen is you're going to start feeling restless. You're going to lose your desire to try to direct your journey. You're not going to be asking a lot of questions, because you're going to be at peace. Now, what's going to happen when you actually reach that peace? I'm going to tell you in just a second.
Every thought we think, every word we speak,
listen,
is creating our future.
What did you say, Reverend Yolanda? I'm saying what?
You know my soul is singing.
Do you want freedom? Now listen carefully. Yeah. What?
Are you in charge of your life? Do you make it your own? Do you follow your heart? Yeah. This moment is your home. Do you see love all around you?
Do you see love all around you?
Compassion fill your soul.
Do you let compassion fill your soul?
Feeling all of your sensations.
Feel all of your sensations.
And we are whole.
We are free and we are whole.
And so our thoughts create our freedom.
Freedom. Rock with me, baby. Rock with me, baby. Freedom. Rock with me, baby. Rock with me, baby. Now, what happens when you finally let peace in? The breath of God will move through you. God's breath will move through you. Think about that for a minute. Just think about that. When you finally let yourself have peace, because you're no longer asking a lot of stupid questions, and you don't feel any need to direct your journey, you are no longer restless. There's nothing compelling you any longer. You accept everything that's happening in your life. You learn how to love everything that's going on. You have a detached relationship to any diseases, unhappiness, or anything that's going on in your body. And you are looking at everything around you from a place of total peace and stillness. When that happens, then God's breath, love's breath, will move through you. And I'm going to tell you what you're going to become just like. Now check this analogy out. This is deep. Okay. The next thing that's going to happen when you finally get your act together, Earl and mighty companion. I'm talking about you. You're going to become as the wind. You're not going to know where you came from, and you're not going to know where you're going. When you really reach the next level of consciousness, Raj, it's different from what you thought it was going to be. You're going to be just like the wind. that means you will not really know where you came from, and you also will not know what's going to happen and where you're going. But you are going to live in perfect trust, and you are going to live in perfect rest. So I'm going to be cooled out. I'm going to be chilled. I'm going to be trusting, and I'm not going to know where I came from, and I don't know where I'm going. I'm not going to know where I came from, and I am going to have no idea about what's going to happen next. But I will be completely chilled out because I trust in God. I trust in God. And I have perfect rest in God. So the world may not even know you. You may not even be known in the world. And let me tell you something. I actually am more and more every day loving the fact that I'm not well known. I love being invisible. I love not being famous because I'm free. I love the ultimate freedom of being unknown. I love not living in a goldfish bowl. Even the little bit of being known at the very slight level that I am so-called known, I can already see how if you don't look at it correctly from a detached place and a place of the way of the heart, then you can open yourself up to what appears to be a lot of judgment from others and people watching you and what you do and have judgments about that. So it's good if the world doesn't know you. It's great if the world doesn't know you. Do you know how free you are? But know that your Creator knows you, that God knows you, love knows you, and you will know God. Okay, take a breath. Take a breath, mighty companions. All right, we got some cool people on the line, and you all are making incredible comments. Like you said, Jaleisha, witness and observe everything with non-judgment and peace. Yeah, okay. Take a breath. So, when you reach the way of the heart, the most primary and fundamental perception that seems to fuel ordinary human consciousness has been finally transcended. So, when you're following the way of the heart, you're not thinking with the limitations of a human mind anymore. The perception of a separate maker and a separate doer has been dissolved. That means, once again, you will understand the depth and profundity of the simple terms in this sentence. What is the sentence? Of myself I can do nothing. Of myself I can do nothing, but through me the Father does all things. Of myself I can do nothing, but through me the Creator does all things. Of myself I can do nothing, but through me the Creator does all things. Of myself I can do nothing, but through me the Creator does all things. Of myself I can do nothing, but through me the Creator does all things. Of myself I can do nothing, but through me the Creator does all things. By myself, that's what that means. That's what that means, by the way. By myself, of myself, by myself, of myself, by myself, I do nothing. I do nothing by myself. I do nothing by myself. You do nothing by yourself. You do nothing by yourself. You've never done anything by yourself. You've never done anything on your own. You've never done anything on your own. You've never done anything by yourself. Because of yourself, you can do nothing. But through you, the Creator does everything through you. God does everything through you. Love does everything through you. Of myself, I do nothing. But through me, the Father does all things. So, if you rest in that perception, that means that you have come to realize that the self that you are is a conduit. When you get to the point that you say, of myself, I do nothing, but through me, God can do all things. When you see yourself as someone who is telling yourself, of myself, I do nothing, but through me, the Creator does all things. When you get to that level of consciousness, you've reached the level of consciousness that's going to blow your mind with the joy that it produces, because that means you are recognizing that you are a conduit, a person that is a conscious being, a person that has really awakened, a person that's really practicing the way of the heart. They are a person who wants to be a conduit. They want to be a person that God does things through, that they want to be a person that the mystery lives in. They want to be a person that the love pours out of them. And when you have really awakened, what is it that you're going to realize? When you have really, not kidding around awakened, but when you have really awakened, you will realize there's nothing to be gained in this world, and there's nothing to be lost in this world. You can't lose anything in this world, and you can't gain anything in this world. You cannot lose anything in this world, but you also can't gain anything in this world. That's what you will realize when you become a conduit of God, because you will know that you are a means that the mystery of God can express itself through into this world, and that's infinitely more satisfying than anything you could come up through trying to direct your own journey. And most of all, you realize that there's not a doggone thing that you can really gain in this world, but also there's not a doggone thing that's real that you can really lose in this world. You cannot lose anything that's real. That's one of the characteristics of something that's real. If it's real, you can't lose it. If it's real, there's no such thing as losing it. So anything that you thought you have lost, either you haven't really lost it, or it never was real, and it never was there. So some of you may be grieving relationships and situations and circumstances that were never real in the first place. So how can I tell that it was never real in the first place? Because it's not real now. And if it's not real now, it never was real. You're also going to know what it means to recognize that you literally have nowhere to go, and you literally have nothing to achieve. When you become a conduit, when you really wake up, when you are really in tune with the way of the heart, you realize there's nowhere to go and there's nothing to achieve. You're already whole. You're already complete. You're happy and tranquil wherever you are. And if you're happy wherever you are, then why is there any need to go anywhere? And if you feel whole and complete, why is there any need to achieve anything? So when you get to the point that you literally know there's nowhere to go, Earl, when you get to the point that you know that there's nothing to achieve, you will become empty. You will become spacious. Spacious. You're going to become empty and spacious. Whew. This is so different from anything I thought that I would be trying to achieve. You know what? I really wanted all this metaphysical new thought, truth stuff to get me power, fame, money, and physical pleasure and specialness. I wanted to get that house. I wanted to get that car. I wanted to get that special relationship. I wanted to get that position. I wanted to get that sex. I wanted to get that. I wanted to get that car. You know, it's like I was studying this stuff so that I could manifest the toys that I wanted, that I thought was going to make me happy. I didn't expect when I first got into this stuff it was going to lead me to the point one day that I would sit up here and say, my greatest desire is to be an instrument for God to use to let love pour forth and heal the world. Hell, I wanted to get a trip to the Caribbean. So I never was thinking about any of the stuff that I'm thinking about now. I think it was almost like I've been tricked or something, because I started out just wanting power, fame, money, and physical pleasure and some kind of fantasy fulfilled. And now I'm sitting up here saying I want to be empty and spacious. I want to be a conduit for the mystery of life. I want to be like the wind. And I'm becoming, it's like, this is totally different, by the way. So what happens when you're still in the world and you have finally started to awaken to the way of the heart, and you know your connection with God, and you're going to be a conduit for God and love to come into the world? What's going to happen is, as long as you are in your body, and I'm afraid this is what's going to happen even after you wake up to your true heart and your true spiritual identity. Would you like to know how you're going to be in the world when you wake up? All right, listen. It's going to be something deep that's going to happen when you start to realize who you really are, and you really have succeeded at the way of the heart. This is what's going to happen. This is where you're going to be in the world. Listen carefully. You're going to get up in the morning and brush your teeth. You're going to feed your body when it's hungry, when you're enlightened. You're going to laugh with your friends when you become enlightened. You're going to yawn when your body gets tired. Okay, let's get that straight. This is deep stuff. Okay, so when you feel like there's nothing there's nowhere to go, when you realize there's nothing to achieve, when you feel empty and spacious, when you realize there's nothing to gain and nothing to lose in the world, when you want to be a conduit that God in love pours through, when you recognize that of yourself you can do nothing, God's going to do everything through you, when you let go of the idea that you're the maker and you're the doer, when you transcend your human consciousness, when you don't know where you're going and you don't know where you came from, but you're still living in trust and rest, when the world doesn't know you and you know God knows you, when you finally achieve peace and total connection to Source, you're going to still get up in the morning and brush your teeth. You're still going to feed yourself when you're hungry. You're still going to laugh with your friends. You're still going to yawn when you get tired. But even though you're doing all the things you're doing right now, there's going to be something different about it when you awake. When you are awakened, when you are really following the way of the heart, you're going to have a quality of awareness. There's going to be a witness inside of you. And so while you're brushing your teeth, feeding your body, laughing with your friends, going to the park, going to dances, whatever it is that you are doing, you're going to have a quality of consciousness that you're going to be doing it with once you wake up. And that quality of consciousness is the witness consciousness. You're going to more and more get into the part of yourself that's just watching everything. I didn't say judging everything. I said that when you get into your true self, the self that you're going to discover in the way of the heart, you're going to cultivate a quality of consciousness where you are just witnessing everything. And while you are watching everything, you're going to be doing something. Would you like to know what you're going to be doing? When you are finally awake, you are going to wait to be moved by the wind of spirit. So here I am. Okay. I have finally recognized that all I want to be is a conduit. All I want to be is an instrument of love, an instrument of God, an instrument of light, an instrument of healing on this planet. So I'm still going to get up in the morning and brush my teeth. I'm still going to feed myself when I'm hungry. I'm still going to be laughing and playing with my friends. But I'm also going to be watching everything that's happening in me, around me, and in my life. And I'm going to be waiting in the meantime to be moved by God, to be moved by the wind of spirit. In other words, I'm going to be waiting for my inspiration, because it's only when you're doing things from an inspired place that you're really following the wind of spirit and the wind of God. So if you are not inspired, you're not in spirit. If you don't feel inspired, if you don't feel passionate, if you don't feel a burning desire, if you don't feel a complete desire, then know that spirit is not being allowed to move through you. And though others may not see it, when you are finally listening to your spirit and you're truly following your heart, everything you utter is going to carry the sound of truth. It almost doesn't even matter what you're saying, because the truth, the awareness that you have developed behind what you're saying, that's what's going to carry the sound of truth. You will not know how spirit will work through you. So when God is working through you, when you become a conduit of love, when you become an instrument of God, you will not know how it's going to do its thing through you, and you won't even care how God does his thing through you. You won't even care how love comes through you, and you will not know how love is going to work through you. Because, you see, when there is no maker, when there is no doer, when there is no director, it doesn't matter to you. That's what it means to live as the wind. The wind doesn't concern itself with where it's going. The wind doesn't concern itself with where it's been. The wind is moved by some mysterious source that can't be located at all. But yet the wind is blowing. And as the wind blows, the effect of the wind is experienced. So this is what I want to ask you to do right now, those of you that are still with me, those of you that are still here, those of you that are still conscious. Remember, the ego will go out and your real self will still be listening. There's something I want to ask you to do. I want you to imagine this. Are you ready? I want you to imagine this. Imagine a life in which all that you do is not for yourself. I want you to imagine that you're living a life that everything that you do isn't just for yourself. Imagine living a life where everything that you do is not just for yourself. Can you imagine living a life in which everything you do is not just for you? I want you to imagine a way of life in which what you do is not for anyone else. Imagine a life that nothing you do is for you. Imagine a life that nothing you do is not for anyone else either. I want you to imagine a life in which creativity flows forth from a source so deep within you. Imagine a life that your creativity flows forth from a source so deep inside you and around you that no language or dogma can contain this creativity. A force and a source that knows how to express itself through you in such a way that it is constantly and only serving the atonement, which is the undoing of fear. Imagine that this energy is serving the awakening of all of creation to the truth of God's presence. Imagine there is a force that is going through you that is awakening all of creation to the truth of the presence of God. That's different from a car. That's different from visualizing a car. That's different from visualizing a car is fine. But once you wake up, what you will be visualizing is a life in which everything you do is not for yourself, a life in which everything you do is not for anybody else either. You're going to be imagining a way of life in which creativity flows from deep inside you and all around you, and that it's expressing itself constantly, and that your energy is awakening all of creation to the truth of God's presence. Do you see why we have to say this over and over again? Do you see how what this is saying is so different from the way that we're taught and the way that we're programmed, that unless we say this to ourselves over and over again, we'll forget it, because it's not something that you're going to hear on the 5 o'clock news. Okay? That's what makes this powerful. I'm not denying that it's difficult to stay conscious. I'm not denying that your ego is going to take you out. But what I am saying is increase your commitment to following the way of the heart until you get to the point where there is nothing that would interfere with you accomplishing your objective, that you get to the point that you go, I am going to let life live me now. I'm going to let God live me now. I'm going to let love live me now. I'm going to let happiness live me now, because I want the source of the energy that's coming through me to be used to awaken the truth in all of creation. I want my energy to be used. I want my life to be used. I want my presence to be used. I want my mind to be used. I want my emotions to be used to serve the awakening of all of creation to the truth of God's presence. The way of the heart does indeed unfold along a certain pathway. The way of the heart is an unfolding. You will know when you're on the way of the heart, because you will see your road, your path in life unfold smoothly before you. So in this lesson, we just started chapter 5. In this lesson, what are we going to address? Okay, in this lesson, next time we meet, in this lesson, we're going to address the stages of that pathway of the heart, and we're going to do it in a general sense. Then we will speak of the most important characteristic to be cultivated along this path of the heart. So next lesson, the next gathering, we're going to address the stages of the pathway, and we're going to also speak about what's the most important characteristic that you can cultivate on this spiritual path. What is the most important characteristic that you can cultivate along this path? We are in chapter 5. It's the keys of the kingdom. And I can feel you. And I want to say to you that that music was an incredible friend, Reverend Yolanda. So go to Reverend, R-E-V, Yolanda.net, or Yolanda.net. And it's on my, it's also, you also see it in terms of the title and everything when it comes to the video. I swear, when I do this stuff, I go into a place and I go into a level of consciousness inside of me that when the so-called Earl identity comes back and wants to communicate, it takes a minute for me to animate my body, because my ego took a hike just like your ego probably took a hike. But this is powerful tonight, and I'm going to do a quick review. I'm a full-time teacher of truth in the way of mastery. If you would like to make I'm asking for a financial expression of appreciation. And if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, then go to my website, earlpurdy.com. I'm also asking that you get in touch with me, and you know who I'm talking to, if you would like to have what I do, which is a clarity session. A clarity session is me working with you one-on-one as a mentor and advisor and a teacher, teaching you how to apply this to whatever situations that you're going through, so that you can get another way of looking at it and release it. And I also use my knowledge of astrology and numerology, and I don't care what you've heard or what you think, it is awesome. A true astrology and true numerology is used by the Holy Spirit in the universe, just like anything else, to guide us and give us information from ourselves. You're not ruled by the stars. It's a language, another way for spirit to communicate, and I also bring that into the session that we have with each other. Go to my website, Earl Purdy, www.earlpurdy.com, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, and if you'd like to find out more about the services that I offer and having a session with me, earlpurdy.com. So what we're going to do, we're going to complete this. You all did some incredible sharing. You did some incredible being here with me. You did some incredible comments. And I am blown away by who you are and the comments that you've made, and share the video. And I always go through every comment and read the comments. So don't ever think that you are sharing and I'm not aware of you and what you're doing. So take a breath right now. Take a breath right now. And recognize that you want to make a commitment. And what did he tell us the commitment was? He said the commitment was a deliberate decision that what you want to be, that what you want to be is going to be. And what you want is to learn to follow the way of the heart, so that the breath of God can move through you, so that you can become as the wind, where you live in trust and you live in perfect safety, even though you don't know what's going to happen or even where you came from, but you know that you're safe and you're going to be the conduit of love and making the world aware of love's presence and God's presence. And at that point, you will have no fear, and you will have a level of satisfaction and fulfillment beyond your greatest imagination. So here we go.
Or do you love to suffer? Are you comfortable with pain? Well, try living in the flow, in the state of well-being. And don't you worry about tomorrow.
Of myself, I do nothing. 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 Freedom, rock with me, baby. Rock with me, baby. I say, freedom, rock with me, baby. Rock. Now tell yourself. But through me, the Father does all things. Of myself, I do nothing. By myself, I do nothing.
Does your intuition guide you?
Does your intuition guide you?
Lay awake at night.
Or do you lay awake at night?
Do you believe in the power?
Do you believe in the power?
Because you know it's your birthright.
Because you know it's your birthright.
In your moments of confusion,
In your moments of confusion,
can't find the way.
when you cannot find the way,
There's an answer deep inside you.
there's an answer deep inside you
Back in harmony.
that puts you back in harmony.
And so our thoughts be our freedom.
Freedom, rock with me, baby. Rock with me, baby.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Freedom, rock with me, baby. Through you, be as the wind. Learn to be a witness. Say what? By myself, I do nothing. Of myself, I do nothing. But through me, God does everything. Through me, God does everything. Of myself, I do nothing. Through me, God does everything. Of myself, I do nothing. Through me, God does everything. Of yourself, you do nothing. Through you, God does everything. Of yourself, you do nothing. Through God, you do everything. Of myself, I do nothing.
Thank you.
Through me, the Father does everything. Mighty companions, if you want to find out more about the way of mastery, go to shanticristo.com or just look for the way of mastery. Google it. It'll show up everywhere. You all are so awesome. I got so much out of this tonight. Don't forget that in this section that we just covered, it told you the stages that you're going to go through, how you're going to experience the world, how you're going to live after you have really and truly started to practice the way of the heart. So it answers those questions. So this is very powerful. I love you. See you soon.